Right now, you can't go out and buy an automatic weapon. You can't go out and buy a cannon. And for those brave right-wing Americans, if you want to fight against the country, you need an F-15.
Paul, you wouldn't want to answer that, would you?
Something a little more than a gun.
Does the Pope wear a funny hat?
He does, and I do want to answer this.
I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all. I'm the greatest of all. You should know my name.
Right off the rip, I don't like that the President of the United States is tacitly threatening the American people with F-15s. Now, you know, I think the whole point of this is to say, hey, you guys are clinging to your Second Amendment right, which is supposed to protect you against the government. But guys, you don't actually have any chance against the government as it stands. We have F-15s and all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's what do you think? Is he right?
I understand, and we know he's not technically threatening anybody. We get that. What he's kind of doing, it seems to me, is he's just relegating the Second Amendment to history, and it's just largely a symbolic thing now, right, that we have in the Constitution. It's almost an anachronism, right? It doesn't even mean anything today because its original application was that, hey, it was to protect against tyrannical government, right? So the citizenry was trained and armed so that if we had a tyrannical government, again, then we could overthrow that government. We could protect our freedoms that have been written down and, you know, endowed by God and put on paper, and we all agree on these things. And if a government tries to step in, overreach when it comes to power and threaten or destroy those freedoms, that we have the actual physical capability to stop that.
And his argument is we're so far past the American populace, the Second Amendment doesn't really do anything, so quit clinging to it. That's not going to do anything for you.
Sure.
And in some points of like, if a big brother wants to take a run at the Battle Gnome, do you have a chance? I have this metaphor that popped in my head of like, imagine I'm going to fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex barehanded. I have no chance. But I say, I want to use a spear. And so I'm going to have this spear. And you're like, John, spear's not going to do anything. You're still going to get eaten. I know. But when I die, I will die with a spear. I'm going to go down fighting. You will have to Mullen Lobby pry this spear shaped like an AR-15 out of my cold, dead hands. Doesn't matter if I don't have a chance to win. I'm never giving up my Second Amendment. Never. And I'm not doing what Biden did of like, challenging anything. I'm just saying, no. Since you brought up the idea, since you brought it up of bringing force against the American populace, I'm just saying, hey, I have a Second Amendment right, and I have this thing, and I'd like to live peaceably and not do anything, but this is what I will always have.
And now, what if it's not just you with a spear against the T-Rex? What if it's a bunch of your buddies who have trained a coordinated attack, and you all have spears against the T-Rex?
Yeah.
What now?
Do you have any case studies for where this has actually played out in human history?
Oh gosh, you mean like the greatest military power, the greatest empire in the world at the time, with the largest navy, the greatest military might in history, was able to be overthrown by a bunch of disorganized colonists back in the late 1700s? Something like that?
We'll go that. How do you like that? That softball just straight down the middle. Like, are there any examples?
Let me think.
This has happened over and over. Like, I think of Alexander the Great, you know, trying to conquer Afghanistan, and the Russians trying to conquer Afghanistan, and our global war on terror conquering. No one conquers Afghanistan. That's a nation where armies go to die. You know, and this has been said about military commanders. So, like, you just can't conquer it. And it doesn't matter whether all this might versus a bunch of Hajis with little sandals and an AK running through the desert. I'm like, how do you not conquer that? I'm like, try, give it a go.
Yeah, there were. Well, I mean, there's a quote, and I'm totally I'm paraphrasing here, but there's a quote out there about Vietnam, and there was a kind of a discussion between some military leaders, and somebody in the comment section will correct me on this, but basically the conversation went something like this. It was like, how do you not win, or how are you not able to win against people who fight Cobra gunships with bows and arrows? Yeah. And the response was, how can you possibly defeat an enemy that's willing to fight Cobra gunships with bows and arrows, kind of thing?
Here's a good metaphor to explain it. There is a part in Dumb and Dumber.
I've had
went with this dump.
Great movie.
We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
There's no way you'll link this.
Okay, just calm down.
They break into Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn's room, and they're like, maybe we'll trash the place, send them a little message. And they look around, it's just this trash pile. And they're like, I don't think they're going to get that message. So to put it to Afghanistan, it's just a disorganized mess of warring warlord factions. And, you know, it's just poverty. They're living in many ways the same way that they have lived forever. And so the only way to conquer it is to literally subjugate and kill all the people. But they don't have enough infrastructure to dominate that infrastructure and rule the populace. They're all kind of like self-sufficient nomadic folks living, you know, of like, how do you conquer that? Now we have infrastructure and we are dependent on our system. So we're a different animal than Afghanistan altogether. But I'm just saying, it can be done. But if we were to be unconquerable in the same way of the nation where armies go to die and the Afghani people, we need life skills, small communities, and self-sufficiency so we're not dependent on our grid and our grocery stores and all that stuff. And that's why I've been making this huge push for folks to be self-sufficient, because I recognize if you are self-sufficient, then you're free and you're incredibly hard to conquer.
I just think history is replete with examples where low tech has beaten high tech, right?
Yeah.
Where low skilled, untrained, insurgencies have been able to defeat large standing armies.
Yeah.
And to not only support missions like that, like we do in the United States, where we have agencies and we have military units that are specifically trained to go into countries, train insurgencies, right, to overthrow established governments and militaries, right, to fight proxy wars for us. If we don't believe it's possible, if we truly don't believe it's possible to do this, then why do we have units and agencies that specifically do this and have done it successfully throughout history, right? If you don't think it's possible, this is some oh, you can't do that, right? This is well, who are you trying to convince? Because we actually do this, we have done it. But you're saying it applies everywhere else on the globe, but not here, not to us, not to the American population, right?
Kind of to wrap all this up, I think Biden does have a good point.
Sure.
I cannot beat your F-15 or any of the stuff, nor am I trying to. I don't want to. I'm engaging in the war of ideas. I'm not doing anything crazy or anything aggressive. I'm just, since you brought it up, here's a thought experiment for us. Though I think the F-15 can beat the individual, a self-sufficient people cannot be conquered. They're free. And to be able to take everyone down and subjugate them would be outside of the reach. There's just too many. So as long as we are infrastructure dependent, we're easy to be ruled. And dissenters can be squashed like bugs. But if we were not infrastructure dependent, we could be truly free. And there would be enough of us free that we would be unconquerable. It's amazing to me that we Americans are taking a lesson from Afghanistan. I can't believe this is happening, but yeah, I'll take lessons in wisdom wherever I can find it.
Sure.
Right? And so this is a weird place. And I use Dumb and Dumber as a metaphor.
You totally use Dumb and Dumber. I don't know how you did that.
So you're saying there's a chance. With that, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, share, comment, like, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check down below this video for relevant links that help you and help us. We appreciate you. Train hard, train smart, and stay free. I really mean that last part. Stay free. See you guys.